So I recently just turned 21.
Surprise to you too.
On a side note, this is the first time that I've ever been thrown a surprise party, and I know in the moment I didn't really show it or express it the way that I thought, but I really did appreciate it. So to all my friends who made it happen, I want to say thank you. One of the first things people told me was,
Uriah!
What?
You're a man now!
I've sat on that statement for quite some time since then. Am I truly a man now? What makes me so much more different from yesterday, aside from the fact that I can now drink myself to a drunken stupor? Don't drink, stay in school. But on a serious note, I can still remember days back in Ghana and my childhood as if they were yesterday. So then the one question that arises is, what makes the boy from those photos now a man? To seek some semblance of an answer, I look to those who came before me and those around me, namely my dad and my older brother. With my dad, I watched him work for years and try to keep a roof over our heads. I've seen him go from a fresh face to a fully grown beard with whites in it because of all the stress and the sweat that he has poured into his family. To me, there is no better example of a man. My brother falls second on that list. We are only 4 years and a few months apart, and I have seen him in recent years graduate college, pursue his dreams of one day being able to take care of other people. He still pushes forward to this day, and it's inspiring to say the least. So then I have to ask myself, why do I still struggle to define what a man is, even with such great examples in my own life? For the longest time, I was one of those people who talked hella shit about One Piece. Bro, I know, and I've been turned since then, but if you are not watching One Piece, come here, you're missing out, poorly. There are lots, and I mean lots, of characters in that show, all of them holding different ideas and different beliefs. And while all these beliefs are important in their own way, I think the one that stands out to me personally is the subject of this video, Kaido. In regards to the question of what makes a man, I think Kaido was the best person to look towards for this answer. I don't look to Kaido because he is some great man we should all aspire to be. No, in fact, he's completely terrible. I look to him because he has traits that I think everyone who calls themselves a man should have, and then on the other side, traits that everyone who calls themselves a man shouldn't have. Right now you're probably thinking,
Bro, what the f is you even talking about, bro?
And to that I say, stay with me. You see, Kaido is a person who above all else aspires to be the strongest there is. And trust me when I say that he is willing to go to the ends of the earth to accomplish this goal. He is a man whose ambitions literally pushed him to the brink of insanity. If you looked in the dictionary for the word bipolar, you would find Kaido's picture front and center. There have been so many cases where Kaido could be talking to his subordinates while drinking, mind you, and he flips the switch on them quick. He could be happy with them 1 minute, cheering and celebrating, then the very next will be bashing their heads in for no particular reason. Or maybe even the funniest but most telling, cry. Sober Kaido is a strict man with a strict hand. One who takes no nonsense from anyone, not even himself. One who would never shed a tear. Drunk Kaido, however, is a vulnerable man who lets his emotions out in all directions. Someone who has no problem crying. They say drunk actions are sober thoughts. I believe that drunk Kaido is the man that Kaido wants to be. The one who can express himself however he sees fit. However, sober Kaido is the man who suppresses and locks him away. The man with the plan. Of course though, much like anything, there is a reason to why he is the way he is. You see, young Kaido grew up in the kingdom of vodka, which I think is funny when you consider his affinity for alcohol. Good one, Oda. His homeland was constantly raided by looters, and because of this, they were relatively poor. In order to be included into the world government, Vodka Kingdom would pillage other countries and use what they took from them to pay the government. At the small age of 10, Kaido was stronger than everyone else in his kingdom. This was because of his lineage of being an Oni, a race of giants. Around this time, he also began to question the world in which he resided. These thoughts led him to become rebellious, and the king did not appreciate that. Because of his rebellious actions, he was sold to the Marines. Kaido would become very familiar with the Marines over the years, not because he joined them or anything of the sort, but because he was captured by them 18 times. Bro, 18 times. See, because Kaido was so strong, he always escaped the Marines with absolute ease. However, he also had nowhere to go and, possibly worst of all, no food to eat. So he would allow himself to be captured by the Marines, eat their food, and then escape again, over and over 18 times. Eventually, Whitebeard took notice of his reputation and invited him to join the Rocks Pirates. And yeah, I'm not gonna go into all of that for the purposes of keeping this video somewhat short. After the disbandment of the Rock Pirates, Kaido, once again with no food and nowhere to go, fell back into his old methods. The Navy tortured and beat him, even sentenced him to death. However, the man simply could not die. Any rope that they would use to hang him would simply break. The spears that they threw at him would crack at contact with his skin. Nothing seemed to work. In a weird twist of fate, however, after years of pirating and forming his own crew, which would become a Yonko crew, he wanted to end it all. He jumped off the highest point in the world as to kill himself, and he survived. The man who seeked to die could not die. I think this is where he lost his mental. He used alcohol to drown all his sorrows, but that's the thing about alcohol. It's only temporary. He needed a fix, and the only fix he could think of was to kill himself. And yet he couldn't even have that. I think any simple man in his position would go crazy. Imagine a man as powerful as Kaido. From that point, he seeked to only watch the world burn. I don't think that there would ever be any debates held in regards of if Kaido is a good man or not. He is a very terrible person, and it's very evident. Ask his daughter/son and the whole island of Wano, and even she would tell you that. He threw her in a cell without food and tortured her for years, and all because she aspired to be like a man he had killed, a man by the name of Odin. Odin is a whole nother topic on his own, and if you guys want to see a video about that, let me know. I got you. Where I sympathize with Kaido is his take on manlyhood. Throughout Kaido's journey, he got to see great men that everyone loved and admired. Men like Roger and Whitebeard. And he wanted nothing more to be like these men. Rightfully so. These were men who would take their whole army to war in hopes of freeing just one man. Whitebeard did that. He wanted nothing more than to live like these men. But along the way, he lost that eagerness, that yearning for something great. He had great men all around him and knew what a great man was, but he failed to become one himself. Drunk Kaido was a young man who wanted to be like Roger and Whitebeard, the man who smiled from ear to ear with hopes of one day living like them, the man with a plan. Sober Kaido is the old man who believes that he will never be like them, the man who failed to achieve the plan. He's the man who wants more than anything to, at the very least, die like they did if he couldn't live like they did. So then, what does it mean to be a man? Kaido's a great character to look at in hopes of answering this question, because he is a man who carries both traits of what a man is supposed to be and what he's not supposed to be. Kaido was a great man in strength, wisdom, and aspirations. He was a man who, while unconventional, fended for himself when no one else would without complaint. For these qualities, however, he falls short because as good as quality as they might be, they are massively overshadowed by the terrible things that he has done. No one who throws their own child into a cell should ever call themselves a man. No one who has to drink to truly be themselves can really call themselves a man. And above all else, no one who calls themselves a man would ever give up on their goals. And I'm sure some of you would disagree with me, which that's perfectly fine, but this is what I personally believe. My dad and brother both keep pushing, and I am not the only one to witness this. After all, I am only the second of 5, 4 boys and 1 little girl. It is up to me now, as it has been up to those who came before, to set an example of what a man is to my younger siblings, especially to my younger sister, so she can one day know what a man is from a flock of boys.
Wait, hold it.